Well, it's another wonderful July morning. I can't believe it's July already. It's beautiful. No rain in the forecast. So let's get to the show. You know, it's always a privilege to be on the air every week to talk about what we're passionate about. We love to engage our audience with everything you may want to know about planning your golden years. Bringing you guests full of information about choices that you have and information and little tidbits that might help you or a family member or a friend make difficult decisions a little easier and less stressful. Even after all the years we've been in business, I think between the three of us, we have a combined right around 45 years in the senior care industry. And it's a privilege. And the home care business has really matured since probably right around 2000 when it really came in to be a solution for seniors, right? But you know what? We're still surprised, okay, about how many people, one, don't know about home care as an option for caring for mom and dad or maybe a friend or relative. So that's one of the reasons for our show is so you're not surprised. Okay, so we bring this information. We're going to take the opportunity today to talk about the process of finding the right home care agency for mom and dad. And we have a special guest today, Jeannie Madden, who is our client care manager, who basically is the first person that our office in Roselle talks to. And then I have two other experts here who do all the intakes or a lot of the intakes for their own companies. So I'm surrounded by experts, which is always a plus for me. So, Jeannie, welcome back.
Good morning. How are you guys?
We're good. Thanks for being on our show today. It's always good to see you.
Yeah.
We were just reminiscing. Jeannie, tell us a little bit about yourself and include how long you've been taking care of seniors.
I've been with the Right at Home office for just over 9 years now in Roselle, and every day's special.
Yes, it is.
And interesting, and a few challenges here and there, but for the most part, we love taking care of seniors and the elderly, the disabled, and every day is a new day. Every day brings new adventures, and we enjoy what we do there. And I've been doing the client care manager position now for just over 5.5 years. I did the scheduling there initially. So I kind of got a feel for every different aspect of the business and love what I do every day.
Excellent. So say a family member finds out that maybe mom or dad might be having some memory issues, or maybe they get discharged from a hospital, and they get a list. How do they start the process when they find out it's recommended that they have somebody there caring for mom and dad?
Normally, people will, of course, they get a list or they hear about different companies from, various avenues, different resources. It could be a friend, could be another family member who had someone they had to care for, various reasons. But they'll look at options, they'll look at different companies. Some people don't even realize that there's caregiving companies out there that do what we do. Mm-hmm. So the whole process is new. So, they're starting from scratch, and they're calling around to get information, pricing, what is it that, this caregiver will do based on, their loved one, what kind of help do they need. So when I get a call at the office, someone calls in and starts asking questions. Sometimes they don't know what to ask. Mm-hmm. They might, have no clue. Their first question, might be, what are the costs involved? From there, by me trying to kind of put myself in their shoes and asking them questions about their loved one, what kind of help they need, what's their independence level, how are they getting around their home, different things like that. The questions start them to know and start providing the story for their loved one, and they can tell me some information, and usually the calls last quite a while. I think the more information, the more questions you ask, and helps them to feel comfortable to kind of start telling you more information about their family member.
Now, do you have, is there, I know there's a lot of information, and I love the way you take that initial call, because you initially start with a kind of a guide to ask some of the important questions. What are some of the things that, some of the questions that you might ask?
Some of the questions I would ask is, for example, which is pretty important, a lot of people don't realize, is the person they're calling about open to having someone in their home?
Right.
And the reason that's important is because if they're resistant, then, okay, we have to look at that and figure out why. Why is it that this person doesn't want, ultimately a stranger in their home?
Yeah.
So, you want to make, first and foremost, that person feel comfortable knowing that this is normal. It's okay. Everyone needs a little help. And that normally happens when you meet them face to face. But on the phone, letting that family member know, hey, we understand, and listening to what the needs are, I think is pretty important, because they're lost too. A lot of family members are not sure where to start. Mom, dad, they don't want anybody. They want us to do it. They want us to come in and help them. We're the kids. And it's hard because they have families, they have lives, work, jobs. So
And the generation we're dealing with obviously comes from a different time when all the families lived on the same block, or,
right.
I was just working on my family, bloodline or history line, and found that when my uncle married an aunt, he moved in with her and her parents.
Okay.
And then they had a 3-flat in the city.
Right.
And she had 2 sisters. And when those 2 sisters died, when they all ended up still living in that same house. Like
Okay.
one of the sisters lived in the flat upstairs, one lived in the downstairs, and then she and her husband still lived in that same house that her parents lived in.
Right.
So things
You
are so
rely a
different
lot
now.
on family.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes it gets overwhelming, and yes, the family can help out, but a lot of times I let the family know that, we're there to help with the necessities and the needs on a daily basis. So when they come to visit, it's more of a quality visit.
Right.
With their parents too. I mean, they, still help out maybe with some shopping and errands and doctor's appointments, but ultimately you want the day-to-day, whether it's bathing and dressing or incontinence care, those kinds of things. Having someone else do those, creates less, let's say, I don't want to say a burden, but less for the family member to have to
Less
do.
stress.
Yeah, less stress.
Yeah.
And, and sometimes that comfort level's not there either.
Right.
So you have to consider that.
And certainly, like with the sons and the mothers and the daughters with the fathers,
Yeah.
the bathing is kind of a tricky, a boundary that you don't necessarily want to cross.
Right.
And it is. And we find, I think, sons have a little bit more, what's the word I'm trying to come up with? Resistance, okay, to doing that. I think,
And the mothers.
and the mothers,
Yeah.
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 And so, it does help remove some of that stress, because it's a caring third party.
True.
Right. So finding out information, listening to what the needs are very important. Starting the conversation and getting the story from the family member. And, a big part of this is having them, I know at the initial phone call, it is just a phone call. You're not a face-to-face, but learning to build their trust and being honest and those kinds of things, I think, are very important when you're talking to somebody.
And why is it
that.
important to get that story, Jeannie?
Well, I think the story is important because there's a lot of things that help us when we're looking for caregivers. We're trying to find out, hey, what's going to help your mom or dad or your brother or sister? What are their needs? did they need a lot of assistance, a little assistance? Sometimes they'll get released from a hospital and be told, hey, they need 24-hour care. But do they really? They may not. It just might be an observation based on where they're coming from.
Or they may just need that for a couple of days.
Right. Initially.
And so, right. And so sometimes too, that's frightening to think that I'm going home from the hospital now, I'm going to need 24-hour care. But the reality is with the physical therapy and occupational therapy, that may not last very long, but for safety purposes, it's good to have that right when you get home.
Right. And that's the nice thing, I think, about having a caregiving company is you have that flexibility where you can start off with, maybe you do need 24-hour care, someone there at night to help you when you need to get up during the night, but doesn't mean that it's forever.
Right.
It can just be temporary.
Mm-hmm.
And there's that option when you have a company like ours, because then we have the staff that can help out and the experienced qualified staff to do that.
How do, Jeannie, how do family dynamics and the kind of the home environment play a role in how we care for clients?
It's important to know the family dynamics in the home environment because, we got to look at that overall from, okay, first of all, this is someone's home. You're going into their home. Yes, they feel comfortable there, but is it safe? Those are things that we need to look at when we go into the home and do the home assessment is, little things that, maybe are overlooked a lot and little things that can be added to the home from a safety perspective that overall will make their time at home, make them a little bit easier, a little bit more comfortable, some grab bars, things like that. Look at, are there rugs on the floor that you might not think is a tripping hazard, but overall it could be because now they're coming home with the walker.
Mhm.
Maybe they never had a walker before.
Right.
Those kinds of things are important, and family plays a big role because ultimately, is someone living there at the home? Is someone, so they do have a support staff there when they get home. Do they have pets that might need some assistance too? Those kinds of things are important.
Now, some of the safety factors, which you had mentioned, rugs, grab bars are so important to, especially when somebody comes home from the hospital, having this stuff done, and it all kind of gets thrown on a client's lap, kind of by surprise. So this is stuff families, we were talking about family dynamics. Planning is a necessity. When you see mom and dad starting to age and things like that, I was thinking one of the safety factors as Jeannie was talking about is I noticed when my mother-in-law, lighting is a huge factor. To us, a 60 white light bulb is fine. To somebody who's 83 years old, you might have to go to a 100-watt light bulb to just to make things safe.
Well, they might be dealing with cataracts too,
Right.
or macular degeneration or some other eye deterioration.
Why is setting, we're going through a lot of this, setting expectations. How important is setting expectations?
It's very important because a lot of times families have an idea in their mind of what ultimately needs to happen. But a lot of times they don't have all the information. They're not unsure or they're not thinking about certain things. Like, for example, when someone comes home at nighttime, do they need help getting up during the night? And is it necessary to have someone there that is not sleeping? They're awake to be by the person's side to help them get up. And sometimes you don't know those things. And even where they may be coming from, whether it's a hospital or a rehab, they don't even know. They don't have someone sitting by this person's side all night long. So you have to set the expectations. The family might think to themselves, oh no, let's just assume this person's sleeping all night. Well, let's assume they're not. I think that's the safer way to go because hey, let's get in there. Let's have somebody there all night awake, just there to help this person during the night. And then let's see after a couple nights. Then we know for sure because that's what we're doing. That's what we're there for. And rather be safe than sorry. So those kinds of expectations you have to really work with family on and be honest and truthful and kind of give them different scenarios based on our experience, because we've had a lot of different clients and scenarios that we've had to work with. So I think going in and being honest with family members is important.
So experience matters a lot
Absolutely.
when hiring a company. Okay.
And the expectations, that's kind of a tricky situation, isn't it? Sometimes folks are in denial about especially with cognitive impairments. Maybe there's a denial that you've got to take some safety precautions that you didn't have to maybe think about prior. We just had an incident recently, and we were asked, we go once a day. The person has a cognitive impairment. We'll go once a day to make sure she took her meds and have that meal. So the question we were posed was, the caregiver didn't explain in her daily care notes and on our telephony system on the medicine was missing from Saturday from both Saturdays. The strip of meds were missing, and the caregiver didn't explain when she got there that day why they were missing. Well, that's really not that's a good question, but that's really not the root cause. Is, do you really want 2 weeks worth of medicine with someone that's got memory problems that's alone 23 hours a day? Do you really want that much medicine hanging out there for them to try to keep straight? So we had to back up a little bit, and then we had to kind of gently talk to the family, like, you maybe only put one days out at a time, and whatnot. So.
Oh wow, and that's a great point. And setting expectations, those are some of the real nitty gritty things that we have those 45 years of experience that we talk about together. Yeah. I mean, all of us have certain stories, and we talked about one this morning, which is going to be an upcoming one.
That's why we've been on the show for so long.
That's why we've been on the show for
so many stories.
Right.
That's right.
All this, new things keep on popping up.
That's right.
Well, it's nice, though, to, I think, also talk to families and give them options and resources that they might not know is available. And like you said about the medicine, how can they manage that and handle that on a daily, weekly basis? So I think they really appreciate it. I've had a lot of families telling me, hey, thanks so much. I didn't think of that.
Right.
Or I wouldn't have known that.
Right. They do appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Because when they come home, they can't possibly remember everything that was told to them by the discharge planner. The discharge planner, in good communication, has told them a lot, but they just only retain so much.
Right.
And that's it, because that conversation could be 15 minutes long. Well, we're talking about a lifetime remaining of everything that needs to be done.
And I've had a lot of families, I tell them even on the phone when we're talking, I said, don't worry about writing this down. I can send it to you in an email. And they're like, oh, thanks, because there's no way. So
yeah, and so tell us about what the home assessment is and what do you look for?
Usually going into the home, you have to go in with an open mind, and, everyone's different. Every situation's different. Every person's different. So for me, it's going in and meeting the person. That helps me to find out the type of person they are, and then matching that with the caregiver. So you try to go in and think, okay, hey, they might need, of course, what their needs are and what kind of help they need. But ultimately, you want to also know their personality, their hobbies, what they like to do, what's their day like. And then that helps me in my mind, even before I even leave someone's home. Hey, who do I have that can help this person with what they need and be a good fit for them? So when this person comes to their home, they feel comfortable. And ultimately, the little things can be worked out.
Right.
But I think making the right fit is important. And when I go into the home, that's really just what I do, is kind of go in and talk to them and see what they are, what their needs are, and the type of person that they are. And it helps a lot.
Have you ever been surprised from the phone call to the home assessment?
Always. Every single, I mean, you could go, that's why I don't try to do that anymore. I don't go in and think anything in my mind. I kind of go in with the open mind now because I know it's
Yeah.
going to be totally different than maybe what I thought.
Yeah, we used to. We don't anymore have like different rates for homemaking and personal care
Right.
because so many times we listen to, nope, mom doesn't need help with the bath. Mom doesn't need help getting up out of the chair. And so we send a homemaker. And then to find out that personal care is there. So we just kind of have people that are trained for every aspect. And then whatever comes up, we're prepared for. Yeah.
Right. And doing things in advance is important. It's great that if you can plan ahead, of course, sometimes you can't, but if you have the time and are able to plan ahead and meet with companies or talk with companies such as, right at home, I think it's very important because you're taking the time to ask the right questions, look into a company, ask for referrals, talk to clients maybe that, work with us already. All those things are important, and taking the time to do that in advance, if you can, is always helpful.
So instead of waiting until somebody's being discharged from
Right.
the hospital, when they're being admitted to the hospital is when you should really start making the calls.
Sure.
So we're not just a commodity and you just need to pick the lowest price.
No.
Very, very important. Quality of care is probably one of the probably the most important thing. Make sure you check your references. Make sure people have experience or companies have experience in what they're doing. One of our biggest referrals, in fact, if I can be so bold as to say, our biggest referrals are word of mouth.
Right. Families that we've served before and that they've told their friends, absolutely.
And we beat up on the state of Illinois a lot about different things. But, the healthcare worker registry where the fingerprints data is kept, there's a public facing end as well as a side that only the providers get into. So you can look someone up and check behind the company or your private hire if you want.
Wonderful.
And it's, the Illinois Healthcare Worker Registry. There is a public facing part of that anyone can look at.
We need to make a whole show on that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
excellent. We're running a little short of time, but I did want to get to this. Say a client hires us. What then?
They get to work with me.
There we go.
Bonus, no.
And what's your favorite part of what you do, Jeannie?
Actually, I like that every day is different. I love helping people. I love helping families with challenges that, they don't know what to do or they don't know where to turn to. Even if it has nothing to do with caregiving, I love helping them with other things as well. And working with clients from, A to Z.
Right.
Starting off with them and just a little care and all the way until, maybe they don't need our help anymore or, they move on to other places. But I think that just overall, the assistance and then the appreciation by families is great. And the caregivers too, they have a tough job.
Right.
And it's nice working with the people that really care about what they do.
I'm sorry I was thrown off. I was checking the time. But anyway, Jeannie, how are we doing on time, Mark?
We got about 3 minutes or so.
Three minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go with this final question. Okay, the client is being taken care of in their home. Maybe they started being able to do little things around the house or being able to get around on themselves as we're caring for them and as we continue to care for them. Are we don't cut grass. Caregiver companies don't cut grass, or we don't wash windows and things like that, and we don't do hair. Is there a list of things that I know you've compiled? Could you tell our folks about a little bit about other services that we actually refer out to?
Sure, we have a lot of different companies that we work with, or we might hear about a good company that, is a landscaper or handyman service, and, we would give that information out, names or phone numbers from clients that have used them, and then, people who come to the home and cut hair. I've even given out, a lady's name to go and cut hair even before I got the client, just because they really needed it. And, that helped them. And I think that showed them that, I really do care about, them overall, not just, getting their business, but, caring about their well-being. And so we give a lot of referral sources out to clients and their families who are in need, and just because we get those from current clients. They give us the information, so I love to pass it on and say, hey, if you need it, here you go.
Excellent. And we also work with a lot of our medical referral sources back and forth. So we keep information flowing about the health and welfare of our clients also. So Jeannie, thanks for coming in today.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
It was great spending some quality time with you, other than being in the foxhole all day long. Okay.
Thank you.
If you'd like more information about Right at Home, give us a call. Call Jeanette, call Kathy. We have 9 Right at Home serving all of the Chicagoland locations and over 650 locations globally. So if mom lives back in the Philippines, okay, we can put you in contact with the Right at Home there.
Wonderful.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. Are you compassionate? Are you one of those angels that just loves to serve people? Right at Home's looking for you to be one of our caregivers. Apply today at rightathome.net.
Okay, well, sometimes seniors can't transfer, or they don't have any ambulation. You can't transfer them, they can't walk. So we have this special device called a Hoyer lift that would get them up out of bed.
Deb Blank is an amazing long-term caregiver with us, and she's the gold standard of caregivers. She has a beautiful disposition and just a beautiful way about her.
Deb is a phenomenal individual. She is very compassionate. She's very down to earth. I've seen just so many things with her when she comes into the office. She helps with training. She helps with the new hires. She shows her leadership skills through that.
Deb seems to have a heart for the clients that are really challenging, and the other caregivers say, I don't want to go back to him. He's not very kind, or they just don't seem very happy, and she takes on those challenges effortlessly.
You just have to have a way with people, and it's not something that you're taught. It's just something that's within you, I think, that you have.
Deb is a gifted person. We can entrust in her to work with hospice clients, Alzheimer's patients. She is sweet. She has a great sense of humor, so we love that we can joke around with her. She doesn't take life too seriously, and I think her clients really enjoy being around her because of that.
You know what? I always wanted to be a beach bum. Smackdown. Doing all right? Coffee. I feel like you've got to have humor every day in your life. It's the best medicine. If you don't laugh every day, and your attitude means everything.
Anywhere. I could put her anywhere. I can't think of one client that she wouldn't fit with. She's just fantastic.
What I love about Deb is you can call her at any point in time. She's always more than happy to jump in. 3 weeks ago, I was in crisis mode. It was a Sunday. It was all hands on deck. I needed help with the shift, and she said, I'm wrapping up my dinner at Red Lobster. I'm on my way. She got there within 45 minutes. She's just a team player, willing to do anything, no questions asked. She was just ready to take on the shift.
I think participating in the Caregiver of the Year program is really important. If you've got somebody special, if you have somebody who just goes that extra mile, honor them. Let them know that they are valued. Do it for them.
I just want to say it's great to be here, but there's also one other reason that we're here. We wanted to come and celebrate with Steve and Carol, and we wanted to reconnect like a family reunion with Mary, but we also wanted to honor somebody that's really special. So I'm pleased to announce that Deb Blank is our 2018 National Caregiver of the Year.
I know, I'm still trying to absorb this. I called my daughter last night. It was like 11 o'clock. I said, are you still up? She says, yeah. I said, good.
The caregivers are everything to us. They represent the company to the clients. They become the friend of the client. You know, more so than we as the owners. They become the soul of Right at Home.
You can't teach compassion. You have to have that, and it's hard to find people with it. It shines through, not only when she's caring for, again, with Mr. Brady, but to everyone around her.
We can promise everything. We can make all these promises of how wonderful we're going to be, but the caregivers are the ones that actually have to deliver that promise that we make to people. So we have to have good people, and Deb is definitely one of those people.
Congratulations, Deb.
Congratulations, Deb.
Congratulations, Deb!
Congratulations, Deb, for being named Right at Home's 2018 Caregiver of the Year.
I'm Deb Blank, and I'm the #1 caregiver for Right at Home. It's just part of the day. It's part of me, and I don't do it for accolades or awards. You know, to me, it's like I say, if I can change or touch one person, it makes a difference to me. You know, it just makes me feel good. It makes me feel good. That's my reward.